Welcome to the INFOWARS Nightly News. I'm Darren McBreen. It is Thursday, March 5th, 2015. Here's a quick look what's coming up.
Tonight, Israel reportedly seizes Iranian weapons hours after Netanyahu's congressional speech, and how the mark of the beast is closer than ever. That's next on the INFOWARS Nightly News.
Emissaries, ringwraiths, generals, field marshals of Satan manifesting their planetary wickedness on a giant scale, opening the hell gates, preparing to be given their 1 hour upon the earth.
Less than 24 hours after Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu gave his speech to Congress, warning us all of the dangers posed by Iran, the Israeli Navy, they say they have captured a shipment of rockets in the Red Sea. Supposedly, it was en route to Gaza and coming from Iran. IDF spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Peter Lerner said the ship was flying under the Panama flag. Now, that is the true definition of a false flag right there. And it contained a shipment of Syrian M302 rockets.
The Israeli military estimates that Hamas has amassed an arsenal of some 10,000 rockets since Israel withdrew from Gaza in 2005. The newest addition to Hamas's rocket arsenal is the Syrian-made M302, with a range of 93 miles. Meanwhile, as Israel increases air raids on what it says are underground tunnel networks, rocket sites, and militant leaders, the health ministry in Gaza reports that at least 101 Gazans have been killed, including numerous civilians.
Now, even though they captured this shipment of rockets, they obviously didn't get them all right? I mean, Hamas could still launch rockets from the Gaza Strip into Tel Aviv and even Jerusalem. And according to the Israeli Navy, Iran is the one supplying Hamas with this arsenal. So very dangerous developments indeed. Now, I was just talking about Netanyahu's speech to Congress the other day. He wants a regime change in Iran, and he wants the U.S. to support him. But don't forget, it was Netanyahu back in 2002 who said if we were to take out Saddam Hussein, who U.S. intelligence put in power as a puppet dictator, by the way, if we were to take out Saddam, all would be good and peaceful in Iraq. He said there would be enormous positive reverberations on the region. And of course, this was echoed by the neocons in the U.S. and by the Bush administration. But flash forward to modern day times, and what a mess. Since the capture and execution of Saddam Hussein, there's been death, chaos, tremendous instability in the region, and worst of all, the emergence of ISIS.
A top member of the jihadist group that the US government and NATO armed and funded in the overthrow of Colonel Gaddafi back in 2011 is now leading ISIS forces in Libya. Once again, the growth of ISIS can be traced directly back to our government's insane policy of aiding terrorists who went on to join ISIS after the destabilization of the secular governments in Libya and Syria. Abdel Hakim Belhaj, seen here meeting with Senators John McCain and Lindsey Graham, was the emir of the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, LIFG, an organization affiliated with Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, which killed US troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. In 2011, I wrote a series of articles pointing out that the US and Britain were directly supporting jihadists like Belhaj in an area in Libya which West Point warned was the world capital for Al-Qaeda suicide bomber recruitment. We were supporting these people to overthrow Gaddafi when Tripoli fell with the aid of British and American cruise missiles. These same terrorists got access to nuclear material, deadly chemicals, and 30,000 shoulder-fired rockets. After being handed power, these same terrorists flew the Al-Qaeda flag over courthouses in Benghazi, the same flag now being flown by ISIS militants. They imposed Sharia law, while transforming Libya from a relatively prosperous and thriving nation into a brutal hellhole run by tribal warlords and jihadists. And our governments helped them do it. Some of these same terrorists were then airlifted into Syria by our allies to join the ranks of jihadist rebels in the effort to topple the Assad government. which of course led to the birth of ISIS in the region. And even as the US continues to support so-called moderate rebels in Syria, thousands of them are defecting to the Islamic State. The Citizens Committee on Benghazi report concluded that the United States was involved in, quote, knowingly facilitating the provision of weapons to known al-Qaeda militias and figures, including Belhaj, and that if the US, quote, hadn't been helping to arm al-Qaeda militias throughout Libya, the attack on the US consulate wouldn't have occurred a year later. The White House armed, funded, militarily aided, and gave political office to the guy now leading ISIS terrorists in Libya. So we keep hearing this line in the media over and over again. How do we stop ISIS? Do we need to send in ground troops? How about this? How about you stop arming and funding fucking bloodthirsty terrorists in the first place? How's that for a novel idea? How about you stop destabilizing secular governments and replacing them with gangs of jihadist lunatics? How about we find out why the hell ISIS keeps receiving these accidental airdrops of weapons caches from British and American planes? ISIS is now threatening to send 500,000 immigrants from Libya to cause chaos on the streets of Europe. The Islamic State continues to butcher Christians and Muslims across the region. And all because our governments supported these subhuman scumbags from the very beginning.
Iraqis have evidence U.S. arms Islamic State terrorist. Do we have that clip ready? Iraqi Prime Minister says he will release documents soon. The head of the Badr organization in Iraq told Parliament on Thursday he has evidence the U.S. is arming the Islamic Army, according to a report carried by the Arabic language newspaper. And it goes on from there. The organization was previously known as the Badr Brigades, the military wing of the Iran-based Shia Islamic Party Supreme Council for Islamic Revolution in Iraq. And those are the folks in there now with their artillery defeating ISIS. Iranian media and other sources have claimed on at least 2 occasions U.S. military aircraft dropped weapons in areas held by Islamic State. The Iraqi intelligence sources reiterated the U.S. military planes have airdropped several aid cargoes for ISIL terrorists to help them resist the siege laid by the Iraqi army, security, and popular forces, Iraqi intelligence claimed in December. And then it goes into now the London-based organization Conflict Arrangement Research previously reported that ISIS fighters are using significant quantities of arms, including M16 rifles, marked property of U.S. government. In June, Aaron Klein, writing for WorldNet Daily, reported that members of ISIS were trained in 2012 by U.S. instructors working at a secret base in Jordan, according to information from Jordanian officials. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul said last year ISIS was able to capture large areas of Iraq due to arms transfers from moderates, so-called, in Syria fighting a proxy war against the government of Bashar al-Assad. Now, let's just remember here, and again, we have the clip on INFOWARS.com with the president, but it's of Iraq, but it's in Arabic, so you can go watch it if you want to see that Iraqi news report. The point here is we know this is what's going on.
That's right. We know this. We know the United States arms, trains, and funds ISIS. And yet here we are spending billions of U.S. tax dollars on so-called national security. I mean, it makes no sense. And now they are telling us that there are even ISIS sleeper cells right here inside the United States. I mean, how the hell did that happen? Where's all this money going to? Let's cut the bullshit. The war on terror is a total fraud. ISIS is a Frankenstein that was created by the CIA, Mossad, MI6, even the Pakistani ISI, if you want to trace it all the way back to Al-Qaeda. If we really want to end terrorism, we should take some good and solid advice from President John F. Kennedy and split the CIA into 1,000 pieces. I mean, that would do us all a lot of good. And don't forget, it was also President Dwight Eisenhower during his farewell address to the nation. He warned us all of the rise of the military-industrial complex, and in my opinion, that was also a warning to John F. Kennedy as well. Now, speaking of arming our enemies, Lord Rothschild is warning investors that we are about to embark on the most dangerous geopolitical time since World War II. Well, he should know. After all, his family funded most every war since the Napoleonic Wars. Lord Jacob Rothschild, whose business associates include weasels like Warren Buffett and Henry Kissinger, well, he blamed the dangerous climate on chaos and extremism in the Middle East, Russian aggression and expansion, and a weakened Europe threatened by horrendous unemployment. So that is a very scary thought coming from this guy. And if you're not familiar with the history of the Rothschild family, I suggest you look into it. I mean, these guys are worth a lot of money. The Rothschild family is worth $500 trillion. And they own nearly every central bank in the world. They've financed both sides of basically every war since Napoleon. The Rothschilds, they own your news, the media, your oil, and your government. Most of you don't even know who this evil bastard is. And I also found out something else very disturbing about Lord Rothschild. He looks like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. I mean, the resemblance is obvious. The only difference is Mr. Burns is about as harmless as a Boy Scout or Mother Teresa in comparison. What a douche.
Smithers, let's start World War III.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. The INFOWARS Nightly News will return right after this. When we come back, we have two very powerful reports, one from Leanne McAdoo, the other from John Bound. And I'm going to sit down and talk to a biblical scholar. We're going to talk about the emergence of implantable microchips. Is the mark of the beast coming up? That's coming up next on the INFOWARS Nightly News.
The knowledge of the ancients, tried and true, trusted herbs and extracts fused with the latest nutraceutical science. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend, crafted with over 14 key ancient herbs and extracts to supercharge and prepare your body for what experts admit is the most dangerous season of the year. We have rejected hundreds of other formulations in our quest to bring you what is simply the most powerful and comprehensive proprietary formula that we have ever created in the realm of herbal immunity. For the last 2 years, our team has been working with top doctors, nutritionists, and chemists to develop the ultimate nutraceutical formulation. Experience the benefits of combining over 14 ancient herbs and extracts with exciting new advances in nutraceutical science. For a limited time, get 25% off on this introductory offer. Visit ancientdefense.com or call 888-253-3139. ancientdefense.com. Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems and enhance overall health. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com Oil of Oregano formulation, a highly advanced nutraceutical form of this key herb that has been traditionally used by civilizations for thousands of years to promote health. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market, sourced from top leading manufacturers to ensure a concentrated level of bioactive ingredients, extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules. You will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Wild crafted from the Mediterranean oregano species that experts agree is one of the most powerful and most challenging to acquire. This winter season, it's more important than ever to secure this true form of oil of oregano. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
So one of the big things that you're probably going to be seeing coming out of South by Southwest is how technology is